Hi, Crystal Balls. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please think about sticking around, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Guys, there are a lot of you who are watching, and that is wonderful, but there's a huge percent that are returning customers basically but haven't subscribed, and it actually really does help me out. So if you could go and click the subscribe button, that would be a huge help. So thank you in advance, and thank you to everybody who has been here supporting this channel. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the wonderful outreach and the amazing donations for Rose. And guys, that seriously means a lot to me. And she's not a pet, she's a service animal, and she detects cancer, and her job is very important, and she has saved my cousin's life multiple times. And she's only 8, and I know she's a Chihuahua, so they have a longer life expectancy than most animals. So I really appreciate it, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, my previous video was about Rose the devil dog that you have seen on this channel multiple times. She has an abscessed tooth, and you know, I'm hustling it really hard to try to raise money in order to help her get the surgery that she needs, and you guys are helping. So I'll put that up in a card around here somewhere during this video. Getting emotional. So while I'm pet sitting at a friend's house, I started watching YouTube like one does. So today we're going to talk about Bob Saget, because there's more information that keeps coming out, and this is weird. This is really weird. Today there was a new announcement of how Bob Saget died, and we are going to see if we can talk to him directly without using cards. If I need to, I will. Honestly, I'm not feeling the best, so I'm trying to navigate. But I've had some very clear messages that are very loud and clear. So sorry if I'm not focusing on the camera. Sorry. Or focusing in general. So today the news came out that Bob Saget had his head hit on the carpeting. So in the hotel, he fell back and hit his head, and somehow he split from the base of his skull all the way up to his eye, and his eye socket completely out. And I'm sorry, I should have trigger warned that. Sorry. Trigger warning. Gross. All the way up to his eye. We're also going to talk about some stuff here. It's kind of nasty, so oops, I'll put a trigger warning in earlier. Sorry. See, focusing, having problems. So what the hell? Yes, this is possible. You know, I want to make abundantly clear that there are people who are really, I don't know, invested into this whole situation because it seems funky. And there are just some people who, like I said, the Today Show in my last video is weirdly obsessed with Bob Saget's death. And, you know, I haven't seen this type of obsession in a while, since actually another war happened or another conflict happened. So I'm sure it's part of just distraction. But here's the deal. The family sued and won to get Bob Saget's records closed. Besides the stuff that I don't know how to describe this. Everything with his death is a matter of public record like anybody else. This, and there is things that they have left in this report that is still public record, but for whatever reason, they sued and won to get this information redacted or covered up. I'm not really sure exactly how to convey that because it's odd. Um, this is unusual. It's again, it's births and deaths are a matter of public record. And if you think for a moment that you have any privacy in your life, you're wrong. We put everything online. Our phones are little homing devices. They know exactly where we are when they know shit. Facebook knows what I'm thinking sometimes. Like I didn't say it out loud, and there's an advertisement for something that I thought about. That's freaking creepy, guys. But there's no such thing as privacy. Bob Saget's this whole thing should not have been covered up. And, people think it's drug use, but his toxicology was already reported that he was clean. He had some over the counter medication in him, but it wasn't that much. It's like he took a dose of something. Um, I believe it was either um like an ibuprofen or something like that. I don't know for sure, but it was an over the counter medication. The other thing is, they have changed, they being the stories of how Bob Saget have changed dramatically. So originally, they said that he fell and hit his head in the bathroom and passed away. Now, this happened to my uncle. I know this is something that is very possible, and I would definitely believe that with Bob Saget if that was the story that continued. But they basically did, whatever they did, dustings, forensic stuff, trying to find out where exactly Bob Saget hit his head and died because they can't figure it out. The bathroom, according to whatever police report it is, looked like Bob Saget hadn't even used it. Like, hadn't gone to the bathroom, hadn't taken a shower. There was nothing of him DNA wise there. And there would be. There would be hair traces. There would be, whatever. There, you can tell somebody used a bathroom and it was clean, wiped clean, no hairs, nothing of any sort of indication to show that Bob Saget even used the bathroom. So that theory didn't work. The other theory that came out was he hit his head on the nightstand. Nope, that didn't happen either. Well, what about the television stand, the television itself, any other hard surfaces that had edges? They tested all of that and came back. No, that did not happen. So, oh, he must have hit his head on the carpet and died. And then, I mean, hit his head on the carpet so badly and then ended up going to bed and being just perfectly fine. Now, I understand that head injuries do not always produce blood, so there wasn't blood around, but they still cannot identify. This is just a theory. They can't identify how Bob Saget died. There are people who were experts in brain stuff that I'm not an expert on, who worked on this whole thing, on Bob Saget's case, and said this is the type of head trauma they see if he was dropped from 30 feet above. Something happened here, guys. Um, Something happened to him. Yes, again, life is over in an instant. It begins in an instant. And I know, yes, you're pregnant for 9 months, but that baby being pushed out, like that first moment is an instant. With life, it ends in an instant. We are dying from the day that we were born, so there's just as much preparation for death as there is life in a weird roundabout way. Um, I digress, but I'm just saying life is precious and it ends for anybody at any moment. And yes, people fall and have accidents all the time, but I'm telling you, this is not the case. And I can tell you that Bob Saget, he still has not crossed over. He is still very much earthbound. And some of that is by choice, some of that is our fault. And I want to put that out there that sometimes we inadvertently keep people here, at least a part of them. It doesn't mean all of them, but like someone like Michael Jackson, he's very much attached to Neverland Ranch because that was a time in his life where he was very happy. And he is attached to that place. And there are people who think about him all the time and kind of harness that energy and kind of keep him in a stasis where he has not completely crossed over. That is kind of what's happening with Bob Saget. Um, I do want to, he's telling me, he's talking to me, okay? He's telling me he's calling it limbo. That's the wording he's using. I'm in limbo. Not like the Catholic sense, not like even no theology sense. He is in limbo. Meaning he is halfway between death and life, which tells me he still has a big shock to his system that he has not processed yet. He is still in the death moment. He is reliving that moment over and over and over again. And he is telling me very adamantly, I knew I was going to die. He knew. He knew he was going to die. He says, um, it's almost like he's pounding his fist against a table. I knew I was going to die. I just didn't know when. Time to pay the piper, time to pay the piper, time to pay the price. Um, he had a lot to pay for. Um, Whatever you feel about him personally, whatever, you have your feelings and everybody's entitled to that, but this is what I'm getting and I'm seeing. And I know there was some very angry people at my last video about Bob Saget, so if y'all don't like it, it's okay, click off. Because nobody is perfect, okay? Nobody. And people have issues. And people who get famous, there are very, very few stories where, in all actuality, in all reality, where they haven't taken advantage of someone, stepped on someone, or reciprocal the abuse that was done to them to somebody else. Um, Drug use, alcohol use. He's telling me he really wasn't into drugs. Like he did them casually, like socially is almost the word that I'm going to use. And I don't think it was much more than pot, but he did do cocaine in the 80s, but who didn't? But I know I'm saying that sarcastically, but this is what I'm getting from him. Like he is showing me like nightclubs, yes, sometimes he would snort. Um Sometimes he never shot up. Like he's like, no, 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 I was not a heroin person. But he did do pot, which whatever. But he did snort shit. Um he he told me he did LSD once and once was enough. He did not like that feeling. But the thing is, he was not a habitual drug user. He did not spend his time or his money doing that. It was very social, and it was dependent on the social group that he was with. And there were some pretty nasty people that he hung around with. Like, there's, you know, we being very honest here, it's a, comedy circle of people who ended up on television and looking very pure and very, you know, good, but in reality, they really weren't. And there's a whole lot of comedians, who fit this criteria. And I'm not saying all of them made it onto television, but there was a group of them who did, and there was a group of them who didn't, that had that aspiration, who hung out in the same crowd as Bob Saget. And that is the time that he would partake in drugs. He did drink, again, socially, is what I'm getting. I don't even get a sense of an alcoholic. He did not like being out of control. There's something very much here that he's now showing me this. So pretend I'm him and I'm standing here, and somebody comes from behind and does this. They put their hands over his eyes. He was blinded. Now, this could be a couple of different things, but I think this isn't the moment. He repeats his moment of death over and over and over again. Don't do this, but he still is in that hotel. Not all the time. There's a part of him that is there, but he is walking up and down the halls and in and out of the fire escape, stairwells, maybe the stairwells, but something happened. Somebody said something to him from behind. And before he had a chance to react, a hand went over his eyes and everything went blank. So he hasn't. He's pacing now. Like, I can see him in a hotel pacing back and forth inside a room. He points at the door, the adjacent room door that was unlocked. He did not travel with any security. There wasn't anybody with him. His wife wasn't with him. It was odd that he went there. He went there for a reason. He did go there for a reason. He shouldn't have been alone. He readily admits this, but it's almost like he got tired of running. I don't know about you, but when I check into a hotel and there's an adjacent room, I always check it. I don't know if it's because I'm a female or it's something I was taught to do at a very young age, but it just strikes me personally as unusual that he did not check that door. Why was it unlocked? Why was it unlocked in the first place? He still is pacing. He's pacing back and forth. It's like, I knew this time was coming. I knew it was coming. I knew it was. I can't deny it. I paid for it 30 years ago. Um, Randomly, I'm getting something about Mississippi. I don't know what, but he's just like, Mississippi. Yeah, Mississippi. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. He definitely, this is not me. This is coming from him. He wants to remind everybody that he was not as clean cut as even the worst report of him. The worst report of him ever, rumor, whatever, it still wasn't, it was still too clean. He was much worse than that. And he readily admits that. He keeps saying, like, I paid for it in blood. I paid for where I am now. Or where I was, where I am now. Like, he really is in between life and death. He really is in some sort of limbo. Uh, Part of it is somebody is keeping his energy here, and it's not a wife or child or grandchildren if he had them. It's not anybody who he worked with. This is somebody else that is doing something like rude, very, very rude, and keeping him around. Um, Part of it is he's trapped in his death moment, and I'm telling you, his death moment was very fast. And he had no time to react. The thing and the problem is, it was a male voice that was behind him. However, he couldn't tell if he recognized the voice or not because he couldn't hear properly. I don't know if he had suffered from any sort of hearing loss, or the person behind him was muffled, wearing any sort of anything over the face. Um, he's telling me, he's saying kill ground. I don't know exactly where he was killed either. I know that forensically they're showing that it very well couldn't have taken a place inside the hotel room. He's kind of shaking his head and he's like, no, it didn't happen the way, obviously, that the reports are happening, but it also, I, I just keep hearing kill ground. And that tells me that he died somewhere else. Now, this doesn't mean it was in a completely different location. It could have been in that adjoining room. It could have been in the stairwell. It would have been not super far from his room. I'm sorry. I know I'm all over the place with the camera angles. Yeah, sorry. It wasn't far. Because obviously Bob Saget was tall. He was at least 6 foot, if not taller. And humans are heavy. Even the lightest adult human being is heavy. Like, they are not easy to move. So this person, people, I mean, I'm thinking there was like this one person, the male who was behind him, that he thought he recognized the voice of, but he couldn't quite hear. So he wasn't 100% sure if it was this person, and he's not comfortable saying it was. He needs more evidence, but since he's stuck in the death moment and he's kind of trapped in the hotel in some sort of, like I said, some sort of oh shit, purgatory. He is not seeing the whole picture. He needs to cross over in order to see the whole picture, but he either, there's part of him that he's telling me he's scared to cross over, for what he will have to face. And he will have to face it, but it doesn't mean that after he faces what he needs to, that he won't move on. He's an atheist, and that's totally fine. I don't know if he ever stated that in his real life, that he's an atheist. And there is fear here because he he realized that there was more to life than what he thought. And it scares the crap out of him because he's like, oh, it is true. And whatever you believe is totally fine. Like, I'm not saying one way or another, but there is higher power than us. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a god or it's a devil or whatever, but there is a higher functioning being system that is higher than us. And we go to a different plane of existence after we die. And again, I'm saying it very, very basically because everybody has their own rights to believe whatever they want to believe. But in this particular instance, Bob Saget was an atheist. And again, nothing wrong with that. I'm totally fine with that. Um, but he says I feel like blubber. Like Blubber Flubber, something like I just honestly didn't know it existed. And he's telling me he did pay some lip service to people, but in his, in his heart, in his mind, he did not believe in a higher power. In um now that he's there, he was completely unprepared for the reality of the situation, and he is scared shitless. And I'm telling you, he he has sins that he needs to atone for, and that is not my words, that is his words. And it's true, he does. Everybody does. But that doesn't mean that you're going to, basically, he's afraid he's going to go to hell. Doesn't mean that he is. That's not our judgment, that's not our call. I don't even know if there is a hell. But in his mind, what he is projecting is an image of pure torture. Pure torture. Basically, I'm not. The image that he's putting in my mind very much has to do with torturing children and that happening to him. And as an adult, but basically he's afraid that he's going to get the things that happened to him in life back, but the things that he also did back. And I'm not saying that he participated in he could have. I don't know. He's scared enough of it, to be very, very honest with you. He is scared. He really thinks that I'm going to have to relive every second over and over and over again of my own trauma that happened to me growing up at the hands of my mother, at the hands of other people, at the hands of, producers. I'm gonna have to relive those nights that I hurt people, and I'm going to have to relive the things that I did to other people that were unspeakable and horrific. And yes, he did it. He did some very bad things. Leave that to the imagination for what it is that he did. But again, he keeps telling me that he knew he was going to die. He just didn't know exactly when. But this is getting long, and I know I've been rambling, and I'm really sorry. But he's all over the place. Like I feel like I'm speaking like I'm pacing, like I'm walking up and down a hallway, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So, um, please, if for whatever reason you are in that hotel, do not call upon his energy. Don't try to go find him. Don't do anything like that. You're going to inadvertently keep him here. He does not need to be here any longer. If he crosses over, he will see the entire picture. And I'm telling him this, but there's just noise coming back from him because he's not ready for it. But he will be able to tell who the person was behind him. And he has a sinking suspicion that he's right about the male who was behind him. But again, he doesn't like sinking suspicion. I mean, his heart dropped on who it was. It really broke his heart. Um, he wasn't expecting that person to be the one who followed through on ending his life. He knew it was going to happen. Absolutely knew it was going to happen. But he didn't know that this particular person was going to be the person who did it. It was like an extra slam, an extra smack in the face, an extra heartbreak. Um, this person, whoever it is, he will forgive you. He's basically like nodding his head like, yes, there will be forgiveness here, but he's actually more concerned about you, whoever you are, who started this whole process of the end of his life. He's worried about the price that you just paid in order to get where you want to be, and how they're going to use you again, and how your soul split in half at this point. So, as angry as he is, as heartbroken as he is, because he really does feel betrayed, he is worried about you. He is completely worried about you. And he is so, he's, again, he doesn't want to admit it, but this is, he really believes that this is a person that he knew, and it was an extra, it was an extra kick in the heart, an extra fuck you. Sorry. Um, and to see this person's life be ruined because they did this, and now this person is owned by somebody else, completely other entity, a group of people as well, it worries him more and breaks his heart more than you betraying him. And he doesn't know, he didn't know in life how to get himself out. He doesn't know in death because he hasn't crossed over. But there is a way out for you. But he is concerned for you, which is so interesting because I really feel this heartbreak. Oh God, as much as it hurt, it's so much worse to know that now they have you. And he says he will do it again. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here because now I'm exhausted. And I know this was a lot. I know this was long. Again, I want to thank everybody for helping with Rosie, and sending good luck, good prayers, good vibes, whatever you guys believe. Please do that for Rosie. She's, again, not just a pet, she's a service animal, and it's really appreciated, everything. So whew. I don't remember my outro. Every single day is a gift. Use your time wisely. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.